On the line right now, a good friend of ours, man. He's a former congressman for South Carolina representing and a commentator on CNN. You can see him all over the TV. Give it up for Bakari Sellers.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you help us put some things into perspective about how we should really be looking at things, especially as we're moving on and protests continue?
So first of all, I don't want people to think this is just about George Floyd. This is about much more than that. It's about systemic racism. It's about systemic injustice that's been plaguing this country since its inception. And people of color, black people in particular, we've been put down, we've been oppressed, and we've been lynched. And we've been lynched on camera in front of the eyes of the world. And so I want us to keep that in mind as we're protesting in the streets. I'll also tell people to don't ask for peace if you're not going to ask for justice as well. And don't tell my people to go home and leave the streets and just show back up in November. We need concrete solutions now. We need solutions now, because if we're waiting until November at the rate they're going, that's 4, 5, 6 more black bodies that are going to be in the streets. And so I just want people to focus on the systemic injustice, the racism that's plagued this country, and make sure, because it's killing us in 2 ways. This racism is killing us through COVID and coronavirus, and it's killing us on the streets by the hands of law enforcement. And so just keep that perspective as we're moving forward. Let your voice be heard. And I want the looting, and I want the rioting and the flipping cars and all of that stuff to stop. But I'm also saying in the same sentence, I want justice. I want the officers arrested, and I want changes to the systemic issues that plague our policing in this country.
Now, Mr. Sellers, you appear on CNN a lot. And a lot of times the media catches a lot of heat, a lot of energy for the spin in which they put on some of these stories and how they're portrayed. What's your take on that?
I mean, we're living in an environment where the president calls the media the enemy of the people. And that's just not the case. I mean, my brother Don Lemon tries to do the best he can do. Anderson and Chris the same. Joy Ann Reid on MSNBC. But you have to keep challenging and holding us accountable. I don't want you to stop bringing that same energy. Like, for me, all I can do is tell you my truth. I mean, I wrote a book, My Vanishing Country, that just came out. And I talk about growing up in Denmark, South Carolina, where we had 3 stoplights and a blinking light, and the pain and trauma of what it means to be a black man in this country. So I can tell you my truth, and I want everybody to be held to that same standard, to tell the truth, speak the truth to power, and never, ever acquiesce or lose your courage during this time.
Got you. Now, I know you got to go. We got to bring you back, man. We had so many more questions, brother. But if people want to follow you and everything you got going on, where can they go, my man?
Yeah, go to Bakari_Sellers on Twitter, or Bakari Sellers on Instagram, and just go to Amazon and pick up My Vanishing Country or your local bookstores.
All right, thank you. One time, y'all, for Bakari Sellers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are the Morning Hustle.